Ever since the findings, the rulings, whatever you may want to call it, of the arbitration case between Manchester City and Premier League came out on October 8th, one man and one man only has been in the eye of the storm. I am pretty sure you have figured out who I am talking about, and if you are still wondering who I am talking about, well, then I am talking about the Chief Executive Officer of the Premier League, that is Richard Masters. Now, so much so, Richard Masters has been in the firing line that there is an online petition going where some fans have asked Richard Masters to resign from his position as the CEO of the Premier League. Even Noel Gallagher, who is an ardent, big-time Manchester City fan and one of the members of the famous rock band Oasis, I mean, they should be focusing on their reunion. He has apparently also signed that petition, and that petition has already reached 20,000 signatures, and now maybe even more. Considerably more. Now, Richard Masters, who previously worked with the England cricket board as well, England and Wales cricket board from 1994 to 2000, has been working with the Premier League since early 2000s, and until 2018 he was working in lower capacity, and after Richard Scudamore, he resigned as the executive chairman of the Premier League. Richard Masters was given the role of CEO of the Premier League, initially on an interim basis from 2018 to 2019, but then he took over permanently as the CEO of the Premier League, perhaps the biggest and the best football league in the world, or certainly in Europe. And the controversy doesn't end there. It is alleged and it is being said that Richard Masters was not the first choice for being for the role of CEO of the Premier League. Prior to him, there were 3 or 4 other candidates who were preferred, but for one reason or the other, they couldn't take the role or weren't offered the role, or whatever the case may be. It is also alleged, whatever you may want to call it, that clubs like Liverpool held talks with the nomination committee over the candidates, and it was only after their unofficial veto that Richard Masters was given the role of CEO of the Premier League. Apart from we will get to this APT ruling and the 115 charges that Manchester City have been accused of, could be even more now. And in around April-May 2020, when Newcastle takeover was being talked about, Richard Masters, it was alleged that he had misapplied the it is only alleged that he had misapplied the owners and directors tests rule inappropriately, and misapplied those, and there were a lot of things which brought out a lot of dirty laundry in public, and eventually, as a Newcastle fan, I am pretty happy that in October 2021 the takeover was finally done. But then the way Richard Masters had conducted himself, the way there were a few leaks around the takeover that didn't leave particularly good taste in the mouth. And then in 2021, in a fan-led review, one of the MPs in England, Tracy Crouch, said that the Premier League under Richard Masters had lost its confidence. So that can't be easy to take for a body like Premier League, who operate at such high level and with such high standards. So that couldn't have gone down well. And earlier this year, Richard Masters, he called clubs like Nottingham Forest and Everton as smaller clubs. These clubs have pedigree. They have won titles not only domestically but in Europe as well. So these are some of the controversies that Richard Masters has been involved in, and it's not going to slow down whenever the result of the case between Manchester City and Premier League over the more than 100 charges comes out. It's going to be Armageddon of some sort, because even after this APT ruling, so much has happened, so much has come out in public that we are still talking about it every day. There's a new article talking about stuff. Initially, Premier League had shown it as a victory for themselves, but as we have found out, there are various elements to this law that have been said to be unlawful. And whatnot. So it can't be good for the Premier League or Richard Masters or his reputation. So I mean, initially there was a meeting that was supposed to take place, EGM, Extraordinary General Meeting, about the quick fixes that could be made to these APT, Associated Party rules, but that has now been cancelled, and all this doesn't reflect well on Richard Masters, the CEO, and by all means that there are no quick fixes to this APT, and we will see in the fullness of time what happens to these rules and how the clubs operate with these rules. But as for Richard Masters, I don't know what will happen to him, how he goes about his stuff. Personally, I don't think he's going to relinquish his position unless pressure becomes tenfold from what it is now. And I just think that some of these stuff will be pushed under the carpet, and I mean, we will carry on. Premier League, as I said, is one of the best leagues in the world, and I mean, we will see what happens. But as of now, I can't see Richard Masters resigning from his position, but we will see what happens. Certainly, interesting times ahead. Let's see what happens. Just before we go, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and if you like the video, please leave a like on the video.